This is the all-new Snowpeak and Anker collab GigaPower lantern and tabletop lantern. This was released back in October in Japan. That's where we picked it up while we were camping out there. So we've had it for a couple of months and been able to really use it and enjoy it. What we have here are two pieces. We have the primary battery, the GigaPower battery, as well as the tabletop lantern. This GigaPower battery is 15,000 milliamp hours, and it's the smaller of the two. There's also a 30,000 milliamp hour battery version, which is quite a bit bigger. The battery has a plastic body, as well as this rubber foot on the bottom to prevent slipping. It also has a tripod mount underneath. Small tripods like this one from Camping Moon are incredibly common, and it allows you to screw it into the bottom and move the light wherever you might want it at camp. You could also use it with something like a tabletop architect system. It has a rubber cap, which you can lift up to reveal the USB-C in and out connection underneath. This will both supply power as well as receive power. On the back, there's also a USB-A connection, which is power out only, and another USB-C connection, which is power in and out. On the front, you have a pretty simple Snowpeak logo, the Anker logo, the milliamp hour size, as well as this button. Pushing the button turns the battery on and activates these LEDs, which show you how much battery you have left in 25% increments. This is the tabletop lantern itself. It comes with a storage case, pretty similar to this one that came with the Celis. It's a full plastic construction. The lens is plastic, the body's plastic. The only exception is the adjustment knob and power button. Even this top silver part, that's plastic as well. It's pretty lightweight on its own. It doesn't weigh a whole lot, nor would I expect it to. There is a little rubber coating on the dial. Push it to turn the light on and spin it to change the color of the light. It has a collar on the bottom. We'll get into why in a little bit, but one thing that this does mean is that you can't use it with other batteries. For example, this is another Anker battery that we have. It has USB-C ports, USB-A ports. It's pretty much the same thing, but because of the collar on the lantern, you can't connect it to this battery unless you had some sort of cable. The collar spins, and it spins because once you pop this cap off of the battery, you can see it aligns here. There's actually only one way to put this on. They are directional, so you can't get it backwards, but you'll be able to thread the light onto the battery itself. This serves a couple of purposes. The first is that it'll prevent water from getting in, from getting up. It really creates a secure connection. But the second is that you can actually now lift the entire assembly by the light. While this tabletop lantern is only the lantern itself, there is a hanging version as well. Now, going back to our other Anker battery, we can kind of see why this threaded connection is necessary. If you're going to pick this up, you want to make sure that the weight is being put onto something that isn't the USB-C connection. Let's turn the light on. First, we're going to make sure the battery is on by pushing the button on it. Then we can push in the light power button. It comes on in a bright blue, and spinning the dial will run it through the entire gamut, from pink to orange to white, and a whole bunch of gradients in between. The light output is 130 lumens. But to get a better look at the color range, let's turn off the lights. As I mentioned, it'll run through blue, and then a pinky purple, into orange, and then into white. My favorite color range of the bunch is orange on the bottom with a little bit of pink on top. Kind of reminds me of a flame. If we push the button again, we'll engage the flicker mode. This flicker mode is similar to a lot of Snowpeak lights, like the Mini Hazuki, the Hazuki, the Home and Camp Lantern. One of the big differences here, though, is that there's no embedded microphone. This means that unlike the Hazuki, wind blowing by, noises, they're not going to change the flicker. As we mentioned, the top has a USB-C. One of my favorite things about this lantern, though, is that when the light is going, you still have in power as well as out power. So if we take our other battery here, this is a small one. It's probably not something that you would likely use for this purpose, but it'll work for the demonstration here. This would work with a power station or even a battery at home if you wanted to leave this plugged in. You're able to charge and power the Snowpeak battery. We can actually see, thanks to the digital display on this Anker battery, that it's putting out about 17 watts per hour. So while at camp, the battery could be charging, the light could be on, but we still have this USB-A socket. So if we plug in a cable, that means we can plug in this phone as well and get that charging. This means that we now have power coming out of the first battery on the left, going into the Snowpeak GigaPower battery and powering the lantern, and then also charging the phone. It creates quite a nice little ecosystem of connectivity. We talked about the design being based on a GigaPower fuel canister in the past, but let's take a little bit closer look. This is a 220 gram fuel canister from Snowpeak. This one's GigaPower, but it could be any fuel canister from MSR or Jetboil, really any brand. They're all going to be the same size. This allows you to stack the batteries and keep them all pretty cohesive. This is another little container that we have. It's empty inside, it's just fun storage, but it's also that same size, and you can see that all three of them take up the same space, can stack together decently well. One of my favorite things about the battery specifically though is because it's the same silhouette, you can use fun accessories that are designed for fuel canisters with it. This is a simple cloth cover. We picked it up for a couple of bucks, but it just dresses up the battery a little bit and possibly provides it with a little bit more protection from the elements. This is a different version, but it does the same thing. It's made out of fake leather. You can find real leather ones, but again, these are pretty cheap. They'll protect the battery itself from dents, from dings, from scratches, while giving it a little bit of a nicer look. The only inconvenience with a setup like this is that it hides the power button as well as how much energy you have left. And there you have it. That's the Anker collaboration GigaPower battery system with the tabletop lantern from Snow Peak. I really like what Snow Peak did here. I appreciate that they're expanding on what GigaPower might mean in terms of energy usage, and I like the design of it overall. While the range is pretty limited, which is 2 batteries and 2 lanterns right now, Snow Peak has teased different accessories like a phone charging stand, and I'm excited to see what else that they come up with for the system. Who knows, maybe as battery and energy technology advances, we'll be able to get things like an induction burner for the IGT in the future. Until then, please be sure to like and subscribe this video, leave a comment below, and we'll see you next time.